Grab your cup. Most people, not everyone, but most people, when they decide to get into a long-term committed relationship or marriage, under the umbrella of we love each other, there's a whole lot of other things going on. There's things like, it's time. I don't want to be alone. My family really likes them. We make each other's lives work. I really help them and they help me. In fact, I might help them so much that I feel acknowledged about who I am. And when they see that I'm the one that makes their life great, that's a big one. It might be we have great sex. They're a good provider. Anything like that. And there's probably 10 more you could think of. And they all fall under the category of we love each other. But here's what I want you to think about. And I saw this in my own relationships throughout the decades of my life and my marriage. And then I learned about it at a whole deeper level when I got trained in my whole life coaching training. And it's really mind-blowing how this happens. And bottom line is what happens is anything that you have unresolved from your own growing up years and what you saw in relationships in your house is going to show up in your relationships as an adult. The circumstances may look very different, but you're going to see the same things. So anything that's unresolved, any inner work that you have not done is showing up in your relationships. Because what happens is, as life goes on, stressful things show up. That's what life does, right? So stressful things show up, things that we didn't expect, things that require a certain level of teamwork and certain kinds of tools and very important and specific communication skills so that you can move through them. If the communication skills are silent treatment, shouting, I don't want to talk about this now, never talking about it, then there's no teamwork that's getting forged under these stressful situations, or just giving in and acquiescing always to the other person, or demanding that someone gives in, right? What's really missing is unconditional love. Unconditional. All of the things that I mentioned at the beginning are conditions. They're conditions why we decide to get involved with someone and to stay with someone. And as soon as those conditions aren't being met, the love disappears. And when that happens, there's a breakdown in the communication. Many of us, I would say most people also, didn't experience unconditional love growing up. We definitely had parents who loved us. We hopefully were in households where we felt loved a lot of the time. But there were times when we didn't feel that way. It might have been things like, go to your room, get out of my sight. I can't even stand to look at you right now with what you did. Or, what's wrong with you? I taught you better than that. I know that you know better. How could you do that? Why would you do that? I taught you better and you're wrong. Or if it wasn't in words, it could be things again like the silent treatment, punishing without saying why, or anger going off the handle and not giving a person a chance to understand. Anything that we saw in our younger relationships, our first primary relationships with our parents, either what we experienced from them or what we witnessed between them, equally as impactful. We're going to see that show up in our adult relationships in the same kinds of ways, in the same patterns, unless you've done the inner work. When you do the inner work for yourself, which I unfortunately did not do in time to make a difference for my marriage. But you know, what's interesting about that is oftentimes when we haven't done that inner work, we choose someone, we hook our wagon to someone who's a match for that unresolved inner work. They also haven't done their inner work. And the two of us together bring the same issues, maybe opposite ends of the same issue. One person likes to dole out pain and abuse, you know, being angry or the silent treatment, and the other person is used to taking it, working harder, figuring out what I need to do to make you feel better. That's a very common pattern. So usually two people who haven't done the inner work are going to show up in each other's lives, and it's going to feel really good. It's going to feel like all the things I said at the beginning, but none of it has anything to do with unconditional love. You can do the work when you're in the relationship. If you see that the communication is really lacking, if you see that there's toxic patterns that stay within the relationship, or you see that your toxic patterns keep showing up in different relationships, you keep picking people, and you've had that thought, I keep picking the wrong person. It's an opportunity to look at, if you've ever said those words or had that thought, I want you to just stop for a second and say, and what do I bring to the picture that has me keep picking the wrong person? How am I showing up that's attracting the wrong person? And what's inside of me that sees that person initially as the right person? Those are all the clues that are going to make a difference. It's that inner work. When you can do that and you actually get really present to your own patterns and what you bring, then when you are looking for a relationship, or even if you're doing the work on healing and restoring wholeness to the relationship that you're in, which by the way takes both people. So sometimes as you're doing the inner work and the other person is not interested, you're just going to notice that it's not a fit for your life anymore. And that's okay. But if you're both willing to do the inner work, certainly you can do that together. I don't think anybody is going to get through this journey to the end without needing to do some growth. I mean, you could just stay stagnant, but then you wouldn't even have been listening to me this far, right? If you're interested in growth and like, why do these things show up in my life? Certainly two people can grow together. And that's the point, I believe, of a relationship, is to keep growing together. So when those stressful things show up, you've got some new ways to handle them and new ways to talk to each other and to communicate. So that's something different. There's a different outcome. It's not the same probable over and over outcome that you always have, the same way the arguments go, the same way the decisions go. And that the resentment gets bigger and bigger and bigger, so that the space between you gets wider and wider and wider. Do you ever feel that way? Like at some point there's miles of distance between you? And then what happens when that's present? You're not laughing so much together anymore. You're not having great sex. You're not taking care of each other. You're going through the motions with resentment. You're going through the motions feeling a little hollow inside or a lot hollow inside because there's no connection. And there's no connection to you because you are staying there letting that happen. Do you get what I'm saying? So the relationship issues that you have now are a reflection of the relationship issues that you saw in your household or that you experienced yourself as a young child. And you haven't done the inner work yet to change those. When you do, a whole different possibility is there. And the possibility for unconditional love, so that you're in an experience with someone where the love doesn't go away, even if the conditions aren't being met. Even if you're not still making me laugh and you're, going through something, or we're going through something, I can still operate from I love you, because we've developed the skills to keep that as part of our relationship. That's the work that I do. When I work with women on stress and anxiety, it often shows up in their primary relationships. And getting to the root of what's having me create that over and over, and how can I change it and hopefully foster a different relationship with this person, because we're already in one. And I believe every relationship deserves the best chances it can have. Or what do I need to do so that the next relationship that I'm in looks very different and feels very different? And mostly my relationship with myself. So if that is something that speaks to you, let's have a conversation about the work that we do and how that could make a difference in your life. Put talk in the comments and I'll make sure that we connect. Okay? Have a good day.